Well, howdy YouTube, Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today, we're gonna welcome a new member to the family. Not a real human person, but a thing. But we consider it almost like a human thingy. I don't know. Do automobiles have personalities? I don't know. You be the judge. Anyway, let's get this video started right now. So, do y'all remember back in April of 2017 when I did this video? So, yeah, we got a new car. Just couldn't pass it up. This is a 2017 Honda CRV. We had a 2013 CRV that we traded in, and we got this one instead. Thursday this week. Well, my oh my, how time does fly. So, why am I doing a video about a car we purchased 2 years ago? Well, I'm about to tell you why. We received a little letter in the mail from Honda of America. And, you know, for those of you that don't know it, most Hondas sold in the United States are made in the United States. So, I don't even know whether you call them a Japanese car company anymore or not, because they're manufactured in the U.S. Anyway, I digress. We got this neat little letter from Honda that said, hey, we have extended the warranty on your automobile, the 2017 Honda CRV with a 1.5 liter turbocharged powerhouse motor that we sold you for that vehicle. And we've extended that warranty to unlimited mileage, and or 10 years, whichever comes first. And they went on to say in this letter how they may have had an issue with that engine. Now, mind you, when we bought this vehicle, we were normally used to the 2.4 liter on Hondas. It's a well-known, tried and true engine on Honda. This was a 1.5 liter. Now, I used to be an auto mechanic for about 20 years, so I should have known better than to buy a turbocharged vehicle, because turbos are great on diesels. That's where they belong. But on automobiles, they kind of tend to overpressurize the engine, and they can actually shorten the lifespan of your engine if you didn't know that. Don't take my word for it. Check with Scotty over at Scotty Kilmer's channel. Anyway, but this engine put out 190 horsepower. So anyway, get this letter from Honda saying they're extending the warranty. And I'm like, well, why are they extending the warranty to 10 years unlimited miles? And if you read the document, it tells you it's only covering the upper end of the engine. In other words, the valves, the camshaft, the rocker arm assemblies, that kind of thing. It's not covering the guts of the engine, the piston rings, the crankshafts and connecting rods and seals and bearings, that kind of thing. So I was curious, and I got to do a little bit of digging on why they were extending the warranty on these engines. Now, in addition to this engine being relatively new, well, it was new on the 2017 CRV. It's also, I believe, in the Civic and some of their other vehicles. In addition to that, they normally, when you get a fuel-injected engine, it's injected up in the intake manifold. So you have the injector here, you have your valves, right? You have your spark plug, and normally fuel is injected above the valves. They flow over the valves, go into the piston, and comes up, compresses, if spark plug fires, and boom, you got combustion in your engine. Well, what Honda decided to do is move that injector from above the valve stem, above the valves, to inside the piston, where the piston is. So it's under the valves instead of above the valves. Now, gasoline is a wonderful solvent, and one of the nice things about port injection, where you inject the fuel above the valves, is it cleans the valves and keeps the carbon from building up on the valves. If carbon builds up in your valves, they cannot seat properly. You lose compression. You lose power on the engine. The engine has to be torn apart. The valves have to be professionally cleaned, all that kind of stuff. You don't want that to happen. But Honda, for whatever reason, decided to move those injectors down above the pistons to supposedly, I guess, get more power and better gas mileage. And then they combined that with a turbo, which increases the pressure on the inside of the engine, the compression. And that turns out not to be a good combination. Now, according to Honda, this problem, and it's called the oil dilution issue, only happens in typically northern climates in the United States. Now, mind you, China has banned this engine sale in China until Honda fixes the problem. And Honda still hasn't fixed the problem. Evidently, what's happening is with this overpressurization of the engine because of the turbo and because of where the injectors are located, that fuel is blowing past the rings and getting down into the oil pan. And the first indication you have of this is that if you take your dipstick out, you'll notice your oil level is higher than normal, and it has a distinct odor of gasoline. Now, according to Honda, this has only occurred in northern climates in the U.S. and Canada, and is only occurring on people that drive typically less than 10 or 15-minute trips. So Honda's solution to this is drive longer trips. I don't make this stuff up. I don't have to. Now, I wasn't real worried about it because everything said, all the things I read said it's only happening to people in northern climates, and it's only happening to people that drive in short trips and don't let the engine warm up properly. And Honda came out with a software update that would supposedly reprogram the air conditioning and the heating of the vehicle so that the engine would get warmer quicker and would do some modifications to the transmission, all software coding. Well, that software coding, if you know anything about engines, is not going to fix an engine problem of overpressurization and fuel getting into the oil. It's just not going to do that. Now, what happens when you get fuel in your oil? Well, that oil is already 0.20 weight oil. It's not very thick oil because the passages in these new engines are tiny. So the oil has to be really thin and slippery to get through there. You add fuel to the mix, it further thins the oil, and then you get things happening in your engine like bearings start to scuff. Or, in the case of the direct injection, instead of in the intake manifold, your valves can carbonize and start not sealing properly, and then you have all kinds of engine problems. And basically, tearing apart and rebuilding an engine on a vehicle like that is a $5,000 to $6,000 proposition, not something you want to happen. So supposedly Honda came out with a software fix and it would take care of everything. And if you lived in the South, you didn't need to worry about it because you never drove. The engine was always warmed up fairly quickly. You don't have it. That was until the other day I went out to check the oil on our car. It was getting ready to go in for service for its 50,000 mile checkup. And I noticed we had the problem. Our oil level was too high on the dipstick, and you could overwhelmingly smell fuel in the oil. So I went back and checked the forums, and I noticed that other people in southern states in the United States were starting to report this problem as well. Other people in Florida, in Texas, Louisiana, anywhere where they were, traditionally warm clients were reporting we're smelling fuel in our oil and our dipstick levels are higher. So we took our vehicle in for our 50,000 mile dealie. We had to have the transmission fluid changed and the rear differential fluid changed and an oil change and all that. And I told the service advisor, I popped the hood and I said, come over here, I want you to see something. And of course he didn't want to see. He knew where I was going with it. He knew that I was going to complain about the oil dilution issue. So he turned around and went back inside and started pretending like he didn't hear me and writing up his paperwork. So I let that go. We followed him inside and we reported it. And my spouse even reported that 2 days prior to this coming home, he'd had some issues with the vehicle stalling, not having any power. And that was another one of the reported problems. As this problem gets worse with the engine, you notice lower power and you can get stalling on these engines. So we reported all this to the service advisor, had him write it on the service order, stalling, oil or gasoline smell in the oil level too high. But he would never look at the dipstick, and he would never smell the dipstick. We didn't even get that far. He didn't want to hear anything about it. So we left the car with him for 4 or 5 hours, came back, and he said, well, he said, if you look at the fine print on this service bulletin, it doesn't apply to your vehicle because 1, you don't live up north, and 2, you don't drive short trips, and 3, you don't do this, and 4, you don't do that. That's when I asked for a service manager, and things escalated from there. Now, I didn't lose my temper. They're simply a dealership. They're not going to be able to, if Honda doesn't pay them to fix the problem, they're not going to fix it. So all this onus lays on Honda. And my voice got raised a little bit, and I said, well, look, we paid X number of dollars for this vehicle. We've got fuel in the oil. You're denying it. You won't even look at it. You've drained the oil. You didn't test it for fuel in the oil like I asked you to. You didn't do any of these things. We're not happy. So we brought the vehicle back home, and 2 days later I went out and checked the oil. Sure enough, the oil level's over the fill level, and there's a distinct smell of fuel in the oil after an oil change. So we knew what was going on. The problem we had then was, what do we do about it? And so we plan to keep our vehicles for 10 years. That's why we buy Hondas. Now, you pay a premium for Hondas. There's no doubt about that. But so the problem then became is we know this vehicle's not going to last 10 years. And we know if Honda doesn't do something about it, we need to do something about it. And frankly, we didn't want to wait around for Honda to do anything about it. So we started looking at other vehicles from Honda. We looked at the Pilot. It's too big for us for what we need. We don't want to go back to a sedan. We certainly don't want a minivan. However, Honda this year released the Passport once again. And the Passport is like a shrunken down version of the Pilot. I don't know if you remember the old Passports they were built. They were actually Isuzus back in the mid-90s. And they were good cars. But now Honda decided, hey, we need something in between the CRV and the Pilot, right? And it just happened to be fortuitous that this happened, because doing my research on the Passport, it had one thing really strongly going for it. We saw it in the showroom and really kind of liked it. While we were having the CRV service, we saw the Passport in the showroom at the vehicle dealer, and we kind of liked it a lot. But the price was a little steep on that thing. It's quite a bit more expensive than the CRV. In fact, some models of it are as expensive as the Pilot, but I digress. But the one thing I looked on it was that it had a V6, 3.5 liter V6, and a 9-speed automatic transmission. So I got to doing a little research. That engine, that 3.5 liter V6, Honda's had it for years. Those engines typically get 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 miles on them before they need any serious kind of repair, before they wear out. The 9-speed automatic that they use is a tried and true transmission. It's a good transmission. So I talked it over with the spouse, and we decided, hey, we're either going to have to sell this vehicle, or we're going to have to get the dealer to buy it back from us and get a different vehicle. And so after spending a few days online and doing research and talking to other Honda Passport owners and seeing how the reviews were on the product, and it's built on the Pilot frame, which is basically a truck frame with a body. It's called a body-on-frame. So we knew it was a good vehicle. It's a little bit bigger than the CRV, and we decided if we can do it, if we can afford it, we're going to go for the Passport and try to offload the CRV. So the first thing I like to do is always give the dealer a chance. So we went into the dealership without mentioning the oil dilution issue, because they don't care. They're a dealership. They're not going to do anything about it unless there's a recall issued on the vehicle, right? So we told them, here's what we want to do. We want to buy a new Passport. We've got X amount of dollars to put down. And we put down quite a bit of cash on this vehicle in order to get our payments down. So we got X amount of cash we want to put down on this, but we want you to buy back the CRV from us, pay off the note on it in full, every single last penny, put us into this Passport with this much money down, and we want our monthly payments to be no more than this. After about an hour of dickering, they always treat us right there. We've bought several vehicles from them. And so they bought the vehicle back from us. They paid it off in full. We got the vehicle at the price we wanted, at the monthly payment range we wanted. We got an extended warranty up to 100,000 miles, which covers basically everything. including dings and dents. We got some running boards on it. We've got some mud flaps we had put on it, and body side molding, all at the price we wanted for the monthly payment that we wanted. And let me tell you, they treated us right. And now the CRV is their problem to deal with. It's no longer ours. So let's go show you what we got. All right, so we're on the Honda website. So this is a view of the vehicle that we got. As you can see, it's quite a step up from the CRV. We love the CRV. The model we got was the Passport Touring. Now there are several models, and the Touring model is basically similar to the CRV Touring model. What you can see that they've done on the front of the vehicle here is they've gone from a silver to a black, and they got these blackish gray wheels and 20-inch tires. We went for this color, the Obsidian Blue Pearl, and we're quite happy with it. Let me see if I can I can show you what the vehicle looks like here. It's a it's a nice looking vehicle. I don't like dark colored vehicles, but this is not my car. It's my spouse's car, so it's a V6, and it's a 280 horsepower V6 with about 260 foot-pounds of torque, so it will get up and go. Now, we got the Touring Edition, but we only got the two-wheel drive. We did not get the all-wheel drive. The only all-wheel drive models they had available were in a gray, so we wanted the blue, so we had to go with two-wheel drive. My spouse loves all-wheel drive, especially in the rain. But this vehicle has fatter tires, or 20-inch tires, and it has a wider wheelbase. And we've already driven this thing in the rain, and it did really, really well. It has all the standard Honda sensing features on it: lane keeping assist, road departure mitigation system. Same thing our Honda CRV had. This is the model we got, was the Touring model. And the next model up from that now is an Elite model. And basically they have a heated steering wheel and rain sensing wipers and all that crap. So there's the exterior. You can see it's got really good ground clearance. I think it's got six inches of ground clearance. Now, we don't do off-roading, but they profess this to be an off-road vehicle. What it does have, and it gives you an idea of the height of the vehicle. I do like that. It's a nice looking vehicle. Wish we could have got the white version because they don't show the dirt very well. The darker colors, they show the dirt every time it rains. So, but these are some of the shots of the vehicle. There's the Obsidian Blue. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's Lunar Silver Metallic. Ours looks almost a purple color. And there you go. They show you climbing a mountain and all that good stuff. There's the roof rack. We got the rack, but not the rails, because we don't store anything up there. Nice wide 20-inch tires. This is the all-wheel drive model. There's the color we got. It has a fold-in mirror. The side mirrors are heated, and they fold in. So if you've got, if you park in a parking lot, I'll give you an example. We had one of these mirrors cost $700 to replace. I know it's a mirror, but we had somebody bump up against a mirror and break it, so now they fold in when you park. So we kind of like that feature, but this just gives you an idea of how the vehicle looks on the exterior. Now if we go to the interior, we'll cover some of these features. So one of the things I really love about this vehicle is, even though it's built on a Pilot frame, this member right here is called the A-frame member, and it's much thinner on the Passport than it is on the Pilot. So what that means is you've got a much wider windshield, and this is not over exaggerating the vistas you get. Plus they put this window does not open, but it also gives you a better view outside of the vehicle. One of the complaints I had on the CRV was it was hard to see around the vehicle, to look for traffic and whatnot. But with this, it's huge. All right, the cargo space is unbelievable. I think it's 70 cubic feet with the seats rolled, pop down. And then there is storage underneath this little area here. But yeah, it's got massive storage in the back of that thing. This is a view of the front and rear seats, and they use stadium seating in the back of this, so you actually sit higher than the driver, so you can see over their head and see out that expansive windshield. It's got climate control in the back. It also has a power 115 volt power connection and two powered USB connections to charge phones, etc. And once you fold down the rear seat, you get over 100 cubic feet in all of storage. It also has wireless charging, so if your phone supports wireless charging, you can just lay your phone right there and it'll charge. Now this is a gear shift. I don't know if you know this, but most gear shifts now are not. Same way with brakes, throttle, steering, and now gear shifts. You're not physically attached by a cable, just like airplanes are no longer physically connected by a cable. And I like having that that stick shift there to rest my hand on, but I don't mind the push button drive system. It works well. And, there is no physical connection anymore to the transmission, so I don't find that a problem. We have heated seats. We don't have ventilated seats. That's what this is. You can have a little fan in the seat. Then you have a 12-volt power outlet here and a 2.5 amp power outlet for your charging your phone. This is also where the USB key plugs in if you have music on a USB. You have two cup holders here, and at night these have LEDs around them, so they're lit up. Comes with a sunroof, massive amounts of storage in the center console. There's also a little tray that slides back and forth on here, so if you want to, store some pens or whatever in there, whatever you store in there. The entertainment center and the backup camera. It's a big, wide 8-inch screen. It's very easy to see. This is the rear seating. They are ventilated leather seats. Even on the CRV, the legroom in the back is just huge on these vehicles. Here's the shift-by-wire gear selector. And you can also put this in sport mode, and it has the paddle shifters on the steering wheel if you want to treat it like a semi-manual automatic transmission. And you'll see the paddle shifters are here and here. You can control, it's all hands-free here, so over here is your adaptive cruise control, your lane keeping assistance. You've got your controls for your radio and your smartphone over here. Memory seating based on key fobs. So once you get your seat and your mirrors adjusted where you want it, you press the set button and then the number that you are, and boom, every time you get in the vehicle it moves it automatically. This is the control here to fold your mirrors in, and then adjustable mirrors. You can turn the traction control and parking assist and all that off if you want to. I leave it on. This is the button that you never use. All it does is rob your vehicle of power, but it is supposedly it's the same on gas. But all I found it does is it robs the vehicle of power. The ventilated leather seats. This is your dash gauge. They've really cleaned that up, so you get a temperature sensor, fuel gauge. And then this display is programmable. You can have that put on there whatever you want to. The 3.5 liter iVTEC V6 engine, a direct injection. So it puts out 280 horsepower and 262 foot-pounds of torque. It is a great little engine. Tried, tested, and true. This is the rear AC, and you see I wasn't kidding when it said it had a 115 volt plug with 150 watts of power back there. And then the individual people have heated seats in the back. I believe that's on the Elite option. You don't get that in the Touring, but they can adjust the air conditioning based on what temperature this person wants as opposed to what temperature this person wants. And you can turn this off. So if you have kids in the back seat and you don't want them to mess with this, you can turn that off from the front panel. This is the entertainment center, so they've got Android Play, they got iPhone Play, you can use a USB, we've got Sirius XM radio. All of that is configurable through here. It's much better than the unit was on the CRV. It's much faster, speedier, Works really well. Works with our phone. And then you have underfloor storage in addition to above floor. Now, if you lift this up further, the spare tire is right here, and then there's another little cubby hole here for storage. So there you go. Yeah, I'm not going to show any pictures of the car per se. I will later. I'm probably going to come back in a month or 2 months' time and do a review on the vehicle, how it's holding up. We'll get through our first oil change, that kind of thing, and just make sure everything is working fine. But I just wanted to let you know, if you're we're big fans of, I like, there's 3 types of vehicle I like. I like Fords. I've had really good luck with them all my life. My father swore by them. I've had very good luck with Honda. Oh, and Toyota. Yeah. In fact, Toyota is probably, well, depends on which Toyota you get. These are just my personal experiences. But the reason we keep going back with Hondas is because usually Honda quality is right up there at the top of everybody else. And our first Honda first Honda we ever bought is still working as a cab in Costa Rica, and it has over 300,000 miles on it. So that tells you something about the way Hondas are built. Now, we should have known better. You never want to buy a vehicle with a brand new first-year engine on it. And normally Honda doesn't rush these things out, but it appears that may have been what happened in this case. So for any of those of you with a CRV or a Civic with that 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, you need to keep a close eye on your oil level and make sure you're checking it for smells of gas. And what I would encourage you to do is call Honda directly if your vehicle is suffering that, and ask them what they plan to do about it, because if you keep the pressure up on Honda, I'm sure eventually they'll do the right thing and either issue a recall or redesign that engine. I don't know what they're going to do, but they need to do something, because it's not fair. You spend that kind of money on a car, especially a Honda, and you expect to get a couple 100,000 miles out of that engine, but it's buyer beware. And fortunately for us, it's now the dealer's problem. This is on them. So there you go, YouTube. We hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. Please leave your comments down below in the comments section. Give us a thumbs up if you liked the video. Donate if you're so inclined. We take PayPal, we take Patreon, either way. And please don't forget that we will see you on the other side. Oh, and summer is almost over. Thank God.